I'm gonna start recording. So Nick and myself have been doing the Sunday Market Blitz sessions for pretty much like 3 years now. Right around 3 years. Every Sunday we hop on, we go through all of our analysis for the week. Nick and myself are really mainly just swing traders. So we're looking at our analysis from a swing trading perspective. Nick covers about 5 or 6 pairs, and then I cover about 5 or 6 pairs after. And the whole point of this is just so you guys can see our analysis. Maybe you guys have similar ideas, or conflicting ideas, but maybe you can use our analysis to help you guys out. So yeah, that being said, I'll leave it to Nick, and he'll pretty much just get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it. So yeah, we've been doing this for a while, guys, and it kind of just aids to, we're doing this anyways. We're trading anyways. We're doing our, pre-market analysis. So why not share it with you guys? We'll give you guys some insight as to how we're, approaching the market, what we're thinking, which pairs we're looking at. And it's a good footnote to start the week off on. So let's go ahead and start off with DXY. For those of you guys that don't know, this is just representing essentially the dollar strength, right? We're not actually trading this. I'm marking it up the same, but really I'm only gathering one thing from this chart, right? I just want to assess the overall trend. So I'm going to go to the daily time frame and then 4-hour. Just want to be aware of the overall trends, because usually, there is a lot of correlation with the dollar. It makes up for 80% of all trade. It's a safe haven currency of the world. So whatever it's doing, it's going to have some sort of impact. Now, I don't want to get super, micro into it and look at every single candle and try and find correlations throughout. Again, we just want to find the overall trend, because that's what's going to be, predominant through the week. And we want to be aware of it. So we could see here on the daily, strong characteristics of a bullish trend. Higher highs, higher lows. We're moving through levels of resistance and pushing higher. So very bullish on the daily. The 4-hour also, right? Same characteristics, very bullish. We broke above 103, consolidated a little bit, and then started pushing higher. So very bullish. We just rallied up to this new area around 107.5. That's where we saw this large wick, and we're consolidating. So we notice we threw a fib on it. There's no structure. It's definitely overextended. I mean, it is on the higher time frames as well. We know this, the dollar's kind of just been skyrocketing. So the most likely scenario is that this will continue to consolidate, maybe just keep pushing higher. However, if it does pull back for us to say that this is bearish, for the week ahead or on this 4-hour time frame, we need to see strong characteristics of a bearish trend. So lower lows, lower highs, breaks of support, and just, very obvious downtrend. And then we could start targeting support levels. That would, we would then, if this were to happen, we would say, okay, for the week, it's looking like it could be bearish. We'll take that information and, plan accordingly on other pairs. So right now it's definitely still bullish. Nothing here says this is bearish yet, or it's even in a retracement. We're just consolidating at a high. So be aware of that going into the week. But let's go over to AUD USD, first tradable pair. And this one's looking really, really clean. So these actually share an inverse correlation, AU and DXY. So you notice the chart, we were going up, right? Bullish, we're seeing AU, going down to some degree. Okay. So there is an inverse correlation here. And again, all we wanted to be aware of is the trend. So that lines up. That's just kind of like one indication that our analysis is, is right. We're looking to short, we're looking to continue with an overall bearish trend here. So let's go to the daily actually and assess the daily trend first. Again, very bearish, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, clearly moving down. So it's a bearish daily chart. Now let's go to the 4-hour. See what's going on for the week ahead. This is also very bearish. We could see that we just broke below a key level. That's right. This was major support, 0.685. We moved below it. This was a lower low. We pulled back. We kind of were, breaking this level, dancing around it a little bit, came back through, established this minor level of support, but the consolidation continues. And now we're actually below 0.685. We're seeing rejection where we want to see it, actually below the zone, not like over here. And this could be, some other pattern too on the 1-hour or lower, double top, some sort of M pattern or whatever you want to call it. But here on the 4-hour is where we're going to get the most significance, right? We want to see that this confirms a lower high, and then we could target, a 4-hour level. This would be a 4-hour move looking to go all the way down towards 0.67. This should be a pretty good trade. We're looking over 3-to-1 just on these markups. Again, these levels are all going to vary depending on where you actually get that entry signal. But as of right now, the likelihood of this continuing bearish is very high, and we just need, those confirmations to get into an opportunity here. So this one's looking good. Now, what needs to happen for us to consider the opposite? For us to look at this chart on the 4-hour and say, wow, this is, AU's bullish, right? We need to see strong characteristics of a bullish trend, right? So that means higher highs, higher lows. And what's holding price action right now? Key resistance. So we need to break this 0.685, see that higher high, see the higher low, right? New structure, and then you could entertain long scenarios up towards, resistance levels, both minor, there's some in here, and then, major, right, around our 0.7 level. So obviously that's not happening yet. So that's why this is kind of the secondary trade scenario. We're really waiting for this to just kind of follow trend. That's where the highest probability trades are, and it's looking pretty good right now. We're going to be patient. This could be a pretty big trade. I mean, we got about 130 pips down towards 0.7 here, or 6.7. Right, that's a good amount for AU. So we'll see how this plays out. Excited for that. Definitely near the top of my watch list. But let's move over to AJ. We're going to do the same thing. Go to the daily time frame, see what the overall trend is, right? This is a bullish chart if you guys have ever seen one, right? Huge, huge rallies, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. We are finding resistance around 95, but generally this is a bullish chart, right? So we got the daily time frame trend. Let's go to the 4-hour. 4 hours looking a little bit more bearish, right? We're seeing lower lows, breaks of support, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Little bit of choppiness right now. We're dancing around 92.85. Let's zoom in a little bit. So if this is to continue with the 4-hour bearish trend, this is the area where we want to see, a lower high form. We already saw resistance met once right here, minor level. We're right in that area again. So this could easily reject, continue bearish, but we're not going to get in too early, right? We know what we want to see, and that's actual lower highs below 92.85, right? This is what we failed to get in here, right? We danced above the zone. We want to see a lower high below the zone. That's our confirmation. And then I would feel pretty confident shorting this as well down towards, 91 support. We're looking at 155 pips, just over a 3-to-1 based on where the trade's set now. Again, it'll slightly vary, but yeah, it's looking bearish. So, obviously it's still printing bullish candles right now, but we need this to reject. So we're pretty far from an entry. We're going to need, quite a few candles. And to remind you, we're on the 4-hour. It's going to take probably a day or so, but we'll see. If we're to consider the opposite, what needs to happen? So this bearish channel has to break. So price action has to move a little bit higher, get some more presence in this area, come back, give us the higher low, and then strong bullish setups for confirmation. We can enter on that, target 95 resistance, and go from there. But obviously we're far from that as well. So we're really in a waiting period, right? We need to see more. We know what we'd like to see. We have our most ideal scenarios. Now it's up to price action to go with either one. And if it doesn't, obviously there's other ways this could play out, right? It could just surge now to 95, or it could just flatline for a little while. But these are based on high probability scenarios. I'm not interested in taking, choppy, shitty setups. So I'm going to outline what, I would like to see, what is likely. And usually, based on this, it plays out. Usually it plays out. I'd say these analyses are pretty accurate for the most part. One of these scenarios will usually, actualize for the week. But yeah, so we got some waiting to do. That's AJ. Let's move over to UJ. And I'm sorry to say, but UJ is in crappy territory, but this one's at the pretty low on my watch list. But let's get into it. So again, we're on the daily time frame. All we need from this time frame is riding the back of the dollar, and we're just seeing this skyrocket essentially. We did just break 134, so let's drop to the 4-hour and see what that's telling us. But yeah, guys. Okay. All right, so UJ is just ranging here on the 4-hour, consolidating, no real present trend. We know we're overall bullish in the daily, so we can kind of go by that. So what are the most likely, scenarios, trade setups when we're seeing a range on the 4-hour? One is the range continues. So this could easily reverse. We'll find resistance at 136.6. Price action will drop down towards, this support level, holding the range. Now, there could be trade scenarios in there. I personally don't like trading that. That's more of an intraday. All this 4-hour trend, when it does start to reverse back down towards these major support levels,
Dude, my internet's like trash right now.
Awesome. And all been waiting for, right? When we start seeing structure below 134. But for now, yeah, more craziness from you, Jay. Definitely looking super bullish right now, though. Might break. We'll see. We will see. Let's move over to EJ. Daily time frame. All we're doing again is grabbing the overall trend, right? So this is looking newly bearish, right? We had a daily higher high, daily higher low. Daily high was met again, then price action fell off a cliff. We broke 140, broke this higher low. So this could be the start of a new daily bearish trend. We've yet to see a lower high, but definitely looking bearish right now. So that's interesting. Something to note. Let's see what the 4 hour is showing us. Super bearish, huge candle. Look at the size of this thing. So from open to close, we won't even count the wicks. We're looking at almost 220 pips. Massive candle, right? Within 4 hours. So that's pretty crazy. And that was directly following the break of this level here, like 141.65 area. This was holding as support, broke, retested, then dumped, and then continued to dump all the way down to 137. So we threw a fib on it. Right now, we're kind of just hanging out at this low. Yeah, well, my goodness, for real. So we're at this low.
Dude,
It's
my
pushing
my
up.
internet's
This is the
struggling
most
right now
likely,
heavily.
right? After a move like this, right? This is the measurement of just this move. The likelihood of this pulling back, and we always like to all right, and then stop loss around here, probably about, even with the 75 pip stop, we're looking at over 240 pips. So we have a 3-to-1. And again, this will slightly vary depending on where that, confirmation comes in, right? Confirming this lower high, and then we'll go short from there. So this is a good opportunity. Obviously, we have some time on it. It's got to pull back. There's quite a distance here. So now for us to consider the opposite, to look at this chart and say, all right, EJ is looking really bullish on the 4 hour. What has to happen? We need to break 140. So price action pushes up, gives us a new high, and then starts giving us, higher lows above 140, strong characteristics of a bullish trend, breaking resistance levels and so on. That's essentially what would need to happen. And, that's even further away than the short opportunity. We actually have to break 140 for that to really happen and for us to start looking at the market that way. But yeah, so this is EJ. We'll see, maybe a couple of days for this to play out, depending on how this volume, persists. But yeah, we'll see. So that's EJ. Let's go over to gold. This one really fell off a cliff too. We're far in an entry for this, but let's do the whole analysis, right? What's going on here? So we are newly bearish, right, after pretty much the collapse of 1930. That sounds cool, right? We broke this right here after all this consolidation. I mean, we spent a month here. That's why I'm referring to it. We spent pretty much a month of consolidation. It went for the bullish attempt, failed just below 2K, and then dumped from there. So we broke 1930, and then it was done from there, right? Fell straight down to 1800, pulled back, gave us a lower high at 1875, and then fell off a cliff again, all the way down to 1740, which is where we're at now. So this was all last week, right? These candles here, all last week. So just melting. So we're bearish. Let's go to the 4 hour. So what's happening here? Here's all that consolidation as well, just below 1875, right? Nice reversal. Took a while to play out. Definitely gave us signs that it was going to dump. We had this little expanding pattern. Volume was increasing. It broke 1830, retested a couple times, and then, dumped from there. So this was interesting. It's nice to see this kind of bearish movement out of gold again, but we are resting at 1740. So this is flatlining. There's nothing we can do with this, right? All that we can do is look at this chart and say, okay, what's the two most likely scenarios for the week ahead, right? One is simply that this is just going to keep melting, right? It's just going to break 1740 and just go to the downside. We can't do anything with that, right? We have no structure. We need the pullback, but that's a possibility. And that's kind of trading. You have to be patient. Gold does that sometimes. It'll just take off. It's really just assuming a higher time frame move, and then it's going to come back, a little bit later in the future for a crazy retracement, and then we'll have some opportunities then. That could be what we're looking at. So that's one possibility, that'll just keep melting. The other is that we're going to find true support at 1740, and it's going to come back for structure. Now we can see that there is a little bit, or well, There's a nice confluence area right here. I'll show you guys. I'll highlight it right here, right between 61.8 and then also key resistance 1800. So this would be an ideal zone for a lower high, right? Nice retracement. You know, over 61.8% back, also at a resistance level. This would just be super ideal. And then we can even mark this up. Why not? Something like that. Well over 2-to-1. But again, this is far from happening. So there's really not much we can do with gold this week, or at least I wouldn't. You know, if I'm trying to just trade trends, there's really not much here, right? There's no structure, so we can't do anything yet. We'll have to wait. But yeah, this will take a while. So let's see. We got about 400 pips just until we get up into this area again. So, you know, I would say, you know, a few days at least. But yeah, so that's gold. And those are the pairs that I'm looking at this week. So just a quick recap, covered DXY, which is just crazy bullish still. AU, it's actually setting up for a position right now, right? Notice that little bit of inverse correlation there, the volume. But anyway, definitely looking bearish. This analysis is looking really good. Let's take a look at AJ. Also bearish, but kind of seeing some bullishness now. Need more time on this. Need to see which way it's going to go. UJ, damn. Just right in the back of the dollar. Bullish, but still technically within a range. Be aware of that. EJ, waiting for a pretty big pullback in structure. Gold, honestly, just waiting for it to make up its mind. This thing's just flatlining. So that's all that I'm going to cover for this week, guys. Yeah, these analyses are posted if you want to refer to them. You know, and they're good tools. You know, so a lot of these are probably going to play out this week. I'll also be highlighting the ones that I do take in a Telegram and a Discord. So yeah, thanks, guys. I'll pass it off to Angelo if he's good. How's the connection? I'm not hosting.
Oh, I'm a little mute. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. My connection's pretty bad.
No, I keep hearing the
I'm gonna-
recording on and off.
Yeah, I don't, because I keep going like in and out on the call, so I just called in on my phone.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can give it a shot, but I don't know. I don't know if it's looking promising. Like I'm looking at it on my phone. Looks like it's a bit delayed. I'm here though.
Okay. Maybe a hotspot. Please, big man. All right. This guy's still asking for a giveaway in
Yeah, I mean,
caps.
if you guys we'll do a giveaway. What we do normally on the Sunday Market Blitz is just a 10K challenge giveaway. So if you guys want to qualify for it, just take a picture of you guys on the session, and just post it on your Instagram story, and then just tag us, and then you guys will qualify for the giveaway, and then we'll pick the winner. We'll pick the winner after the session is over. So all you're gonna do is take a picture of you guys, on the session, post it on your IG story. And if you're on PC, how do I do that on PC? I mean, just literally take your phone, go on Instagram, and just take a picture of your computer.
And then tag.
So
Tag.
tag Forex League and TFT. Starting whenever. I mean, for the rest of the session, you can just post it on there. If you don't use Instagram, you guess what? You can't do the giveaway.
Yeah, it's
That's it.
2 seconds. But
So yeah, if my connection, messes up, just let me know, and then we'll have to just end it.
all right, I'll text you if anything goes wrong.
Because I'm getting the your connection is unstable.
Oh, right.
The message, and it just sucks. I gotta figure out if my Wi-Fi provider is just shit, because I'm in my building, which is 17 floors up, but I still shouldn't have a fucking problem with the Wi-Fi.
Nah, if anything, I feel like your building might have a receptor on top. You should be good. You're close to the signal.
Yeah.
Receiver.
Wi-Fi. They're struggling.
Yeah, I got a hotspot for emergency purposes.
I just clicked DXY and it's not coming up.
It's collapsing.
Okay, here we go. All right, I'm just gonna get into it. Let's go. All right, guys. So sort of like Nick, I always like to start on the weekly time frame. So I like to just zoom out, get an overall picture of where are we at, and I like to start with DXY because we're pretty much trading major pairs that are all correlated with the dollar, and then NAS 100, and then BTC is kind of just a whole entirely separate thing. But for the most part, determining where DXY is going to go is ultimately going to help us trade all these other pairs and have confirmations as to what our biases should be overall. So looking at this, last week we kind of covered that DXY was at this main resistance level, but it's very bullish. DXY has been bullish for over a year now, a year and a month. So we're pretty much at the point now where DXY is just busting through this huge resistance level. If we come up to the weekly time frame, you can see I have this level marked in red. And let's see, pretty much we have support back here, we have resistance here, resistance there, then we have some resistance here. So this is pretty much why I have this level marked. But as you can see, we've just completely like annihilated this level. We've moved through here. And as I kind of zoom out, I like to just mark like another level here because at this point, this level has already been broken. So I'm going to go ahead. I normally like to do this on the weekly time frame, but I'm actually just going to move and do this on the monthly for now. So I see this as being another significant area where when price reaches this range, kind of near the 110 level, this is the next resistance area. So pretty much until then, we don't have much stopping this from reaching that level. And we are, like I said, very bullish on the weekly time frame. Now, I would love to see some sort of pullback here, retesting this and solidifying this as support, after it has broken. So I do want to be mindful of that. But at this point, just look how we're opening. Very bullish. Last week we did close with some buyers exhaustion. But at this point, looking at this and looking how we just broke through resistance, pretty much can just say that we have to be bullish until we start to see some reversals, even coming all the way down to the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is pretty much, just breaking resistance, retesting as support. And now it's pushing to the upside. So looking at DXY, let's actually start to get into NZD dollar. And I saw you guys in the chat, somebody asked what is the dollar or the DXY. And like Nick explained earlier, and like you just wrote in the chat, just literally shows the strength of the US dollar. The strength of the dollar is very important because I'm trading a lot of the major pairs, Nick's trading gold, right? So we want to know overall, where's the trend on the dollar? Is it super bullish? Is it super bearish? And we just kind of use it as a confirmation when we start to get into and do analysis on some of these other pairs. So getting into NZD, USD, this is going to be the first pair that I'm personally going to go over. Let's bump up to the weekly time frame on this one. Again, to reiterate, for people that haven't been on these calls before, I'm going over a swing trading strategy. I like to start on the weekly time frame, on this time frame, and then I move down to the lower time frame. So this one, I'm mainly just looking at where are the main support and resistance levels, what is price action doing, and then what is the overall trend. So I have this red area marked right here. If I zoom out a little bit, this is basically based on support over here, resistance over here. This is just a general area where I'm most likely looking for reversal, considering there's a lot of orders sitting in this area because previously price has reacted with a lot of volatility when it reaches this area, 612 or 620, and then like 616. So as you can see, guys, we're back kind of in this zone. And zooming in a little bit, let's start to actually look at price action. So last week closed with a pretty much like a spinning top candle. If we were to remove this and remove this, so we can actually kind of see the candle a little bit more closely right here. As you guys can see, we formed this spinning top at the support level. This is pretty much a confirmation that there's going to be some sort of reversal in the market. Now, overall, we are very bearish on New Zealand dollar. It's been forming these lower lows and lower highs on the weekly time frame. But as we can see here, we have just formed a new low, and we are forming bearish reversal price action right there, and we are at a support level. So it's not the worst idea in the world to think that we're going to have some sort of pullback back into an actual resistance level, which would now be this low. I mean, look previously how cleanly price breaks support, retested as resistance, pushes down, retested as resistance, pushes down, even right here, retesting the low. Like, we would love to see price retest this low right here and then look for sells once it gets to that level. So pretty much right now, it's like, is price going to actually pull back from the support level? And if it does, should be trying to buy from here and pretty much sell once price gets back into the main resistance area. So coming down into the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour is extremely bearish. You know, it's just showing us bearish price action overall. And by that, I mean, if we just zoom in a little bit, you know, we had this little bit of an uptrend here, and then pretty much what happened, this is very simple market structure here. We had this new low form, lower high, new low, bit of a breakout here, and then it just crashed to the downside. And then we started forming these subsequent lower highs and lower lows. And then now at this point, we're starting to, like I said on the weekly, if you break that candle down, that spinning top, pretty much starting to slow up at this support level. We're starting to have some consolidation. But even so, coming down to the 4-hour and starting to do some analysis, we can see that this is actually a pattern that is forming. So we're forming some sort of flag here, which is normally a continuation pattern to the downside. So pretty much considering the weekly is overall very bearish, which is, you know, the highest, the overall time frames trend, coming down to the 4-hour, seeing how this is overall very bearish. And then now we're getting this channel to form, this flag following a new low. It looks like the play here would be to try to short NZD dollar, which last week we did actually get into some short positions pretty much at this level, because last week, go back to July 3rd, we're pretty much opened, which was right. Going into last week, if you guys hopped on the call, we were pretty much looking for two different scenarios. We're either looking for a break of resistance right here, a retest of support, and then to long this thing to the upside, to that upside target, which would be up here, or we were just looking for a rejection and then to sell this thing to the downside. And we're basically looking to get into a sell on a retest of the previous support level. So like right in this area. So this was the trade that was given out. Market Blitz. As you guys can see, it pretty much just consolidated for the week. It definitely went into some profit. You know, at the max, it went up 70, 80 pips, 70 pips. But we're just stuck in this consolidation. Now, if I was still in this trade, I would most likely still be holding this position. Reason being is we just broke it down. Channel, flag, we're below our main resistance area. We're overall still in the downtrend. Curious, you know, what do you guys think, you know, about NZD dollar? Drop in the chat what you guys think, you know, considering that the dollar, when we go back to DXY, it is looking pretty bullish. That would actually mean that NZD USD would push to the downside. So if we did see the dollar continue to push to the upside up into this 110 level, that would kind of on NZD dollar. So it would move up about 2.5%. I mean, this isn't one-to-one correlated, but say that did move up, you know, 2.5%, this thing has 3.4% to actually reach this like 0.6 level, this 0.6 area to the downside. Again, that would help facilitate that move. Now, the only way that I'm going to be looking for the opposite trade, and again, this is the current trade idea, pretty much just putting stops above this high, targeting this next support level down here. It's about a 3.5, depending where you put your stops, 4-to-1 risk reward, or it can be as conservative as a 2-to-1 if you put stops like all the way up here, and give yourself even more room. But at that point, I don't even want to be in the trade. So I'd probably put stops around this level. Now, if this thing starts to break trend, so what I mean by that is we just kind of mapped out on this 4-hour time frame that we are in this downtrend. Now, if this thing starts to break out of this flag, starts to break above the support or the resistance, and then it retested as support, that's when we would be looking to actually get in on longs. So pretty much 2 trade ideas right now. We're either going to stay in ourselves, push to the downside, which is personally what I would stay in right now. And then if it did actually break out of this is the trade that we'd be looking to get into. We obviously have this resistance level to worry about, but ultimately we'd be targeting this area up here, and we'd be looking to put stops like pretty much in this area. So those are 2 trade ideas on NZD dollar. Really depends, what is DXY going to do for this week? If DXY starts to pull back, finally the buyers slow up, we start to pull back to come back to a retracement level, then we're going to see this move play out to the upside. If it continues to the upside, simply going to continue this 4-hour trend to the downside, and it's very easily going to come to this 0.6 level, 0.596 area. So yeah, these are 2 swing trading ideas on NZD USD. Let me see here. Again, guys, if you want to participate, Nick said in the giveaway, just take a video of the of you on the call and just post it on your IG story. If DXY is very strong and has broken resistance, I believe USD and quote current for NZD will drop. Yep. It will continue down, creating beautiful liquidity there in that channel. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of just consolidating here. It's accumulating in this area. It's below resistance. It's with the trend. So, don't overcomplicate things. Weekly is bearish. 4 hours bearish. Forming a bearish, flag here. So it's giving you all the confirmation you need to take a sell in this scenario. And at the end of the day, if you continue to take this trade, over and over again with those confirmations, you overall would be profitable. So even if this thing did push up and invalidate and then come into this trade idea, this is just overall a very good position that you should be confident in. So that's NZD USD. Let's come over to GU. So GU, this was the trade given out on the call last week. Pretty much walked through 2 ideas last week. It was the same as NZD dollar. It was kind of like, this is the immediate trade to take because we're in a downtrend. This is the trade to take if this trade gets invalidated. As you can see right now, we are in some profit. This thing did end up hitting 200 pips, ended up hitting 240 pips. So it did go up 2-1 at the max. But let's just come up to the weekly time frame to get an overall idea as to where we are currently at. So weekly time frame, just kind of zooming out. We had talked about last week that this support level that we're currently testing or that we're around, we actually never broken below here. We've never actually closed below this area. So it's very interesting. The GU, the British pound, has lost a ton of value in the last 12 months. Literally, it's just tanked. It's gone down from its peak. It's gone down 15, 16%, which is pretty significant for a currency pair. So considering that we're all the way at this low point right now, and we've never actually closed below this area, like we closed and then immediately retraced previously back in March of 2020. So we have to be very careful in this area. We definitely have to consider all of our options here, and we have to weigh, whether we're going to see reversals from this area. We don't want to get caught holding a sell with dear life. Maybe we want to close some profits or whatever. Because again, it's like an elastic band in these areas. There's a ton of buyers sitting at these price levels waiting to buy it up and bring it back into these liquidity zones up here. So looking at the chart and looking how last week closed, if we kind of just take this off just so we can see the actual candles. Again, weekly time frame, what are my levels? Here's my level here. What is my trend? Trend is bearish overall. And then what is price action telling me? Price action is showing us, last week we had this candle, we had a wick to the upside, wick to the downside. Isn't exactly prototypical spinning top candle or whatever, but definitely showing us a sign of potential reversal here. But as you can see this week, we're already opening up and showing very strong signs that we're continuing to the downside. So let's just go back and to the forum. Let's see last week, with our ideas, why we were essentially looking to be bearish on this. Again, just so for you guys that missed this, pretty much we were in this little bit of an uptrend, and then we broke out. We broke the support level. We came back. We didn't exactly retest this previous low, but we formed a lower high, consolidated, broke, retested, boom, broke, retested, boom. So as you can see, I mean, we're in a downtrend right now, which is ultimately why we took this sell. So now we're seeing price push to the downside. I mean, this was the area to enter on this, like just being honest, or somewhere in this area where it's kind of retesting this resistance level right there. Would I enter right now? Personally, no. I'd wait for it to actually retest like a liquidity area. Like right now, it's kind of just pushing to the downside. And again, I'm very weary of the zone that's currently in, just because it has never closed below here. If it did end up pushing and making a new low, this would be then the next area to look for, to like set sell limits at, and to look to re-enter on this trend. So wouldn't be entering now, would just watch and wait. Does it break this low and then get another retest? Now, if this thing does reverse, like it potentially should, and start to push to the upside, this is really what we'd be looking for. It'd have to break above this resistance level. This is a key level for me personally. It would have to break above here, have some sort of retest in that zone, and then that's when we would actually look for this thing to come to the upside. And then obviously if that happens, we'd be breaking the overall trend. So this thing's whatever way you want to do it. I'm not too big on trend lines, so whatever way that you want to draw here, just for visualization for myself. Obviously we're in this downtrend, so we'd have to break out of this trend, move to the upside, and then we look for buys. So GU, again, continuing to be bearish on this one. Lines up, weekly lines up, it's bearish. 4-hour lines up, it's bearish. Right, we're forming bearish price action at the moment. And that would mean the dollar would be continuing to get stronger. The USD would be gaining against the British pound. And considering DXY is, very bullish, that it's really lines up with all of our confirmations here. So going over to USD CAD, this is going to be the last major pair that I look at that's correlated with the dollar. As you can see last week, definitely, got burned on this one, had a stop loss get hit. But let's kind of go over this one, like what our idea was, and then, what actually happened during the week. So coming up to the weekly time frame, let's just zoom out and let's take this off. We had the pattern drawn, and then we had this. Obviously, we had some sells. So looking at this, based on how we're drawing it, we're in this channel that's moving to the upside. So we are pretty bullish on the USD CAD, in the sense that we've made some higher highs and some higher low points here. And this trend has been going on all the way since May. Now, last week going into here, you can see we have this doji candle. So now looking at this, I put on some sells, but look, we're at resistance, but we had this doji candle, which is a reversal candle. We're at this high point. We're overall kind of in this uptrend. So when we're just going through the strategy, right, looking at the resistance levels here, good, that's a bearish confirmation, but price action is showing us, that we're going to potentially push to the upside based on this doji, based on that we're in a bullish trend. So that's probably why we end up getting stopped out last week. Now this week, looking at where we're currently at, we had this lot of exhaustion, buyers exhaustion to the upside. Again, we are overall in a bullish trend. We did kind of break and retest this support level, which is showing us that there is room for this thing to continue to push to the upside. I don't love this price action right here, this rejection. Definitely not the greatest, candlestick in the world, the best price action in the world. So not super confident about that. And again, we're at the top of this channel. So I'm not super bullish on trying to like take a buy here and watch it break through and go to the upside. So long story short, USD CAD don't really wouldn't really want to put risk on this one for any buys. I mean, if you were trying to buy this, what I would do is I would wait for some sort of break of resistance. So you can see we're at the support level right now. This is great. You could take a buy right here. Boom, put your stops below here at this level. And then you'd want to like swing trade this up into the next level, which I don't even have drawn right now. Personally, I'm just not the biggest fan of that right now, considering how price action formed on the weekly time frame. I personally would be more open to actually something like this where price came down and started to actually break more into a downtrend. So just not going to give out really any trade ideas on USD CAD. I'm just going to draw this one right here. So if this did come into play, this was what I would be looking for, something similar to this. I'd be targeting down here, the bottom of the channel, 1.25 area. And then I'd throw stops either above this resistance level, or I'd throw them like all the way up here. And then you could see the risk reward is still 2.5, 2.4. This would truly be a swing trade on this one. It would take some time to push to the downside. But yeah, this is the only idea personally that I would be that confident in it with UCAD. So this is not high on my watch list for this week. So coming over to GJ. So this is a trade we've been covering the last few weeks. As you can see, last week we made a lot of progress with it. Ended up pushing down, going into profit about. Went into a really good amount of profit. Ended up going up 2-to-1 risk reward on what we originally put on. Let's just come up to the weekly time frame and kind of zoom out and see what's going on here. So weekly time frame, we are retesting this large resistance zone, which I drew. I'm not even going to go farther back, but basically we can see we have support over here, we have support over here, we have resistance here, and then looking at price action more recently, we already rejected this level once, and then zooming in here, I hate to have to delete this and like redraw, but zooming in, we came up, we had a lot of indecision in this area, a lot of volatility. We ended up forming this bullish candle with a large wick to the upside, followed by this bearish engulfing large wick to the downside, which is not too lovely. But just deleting this just so we can see things a bit further. Last week, we ended up forming this doji candle. So very similar to how we just saw UCAD. That doji candle is telling me that although sellers stepped in, they were not able to push this thing to the downside and hold. So there's a lot of buyers still sitting at this level. So it's going to push up into liquidity level, and it's going to test it and see who has more orders sitting at these levels. Are there sellers? Are they buyers? And that's ultimately going to decide whether this thing ends up turning to the downside. So where do we have to make a decision on this one, whether we need to exit this trade? Obviously, this trade was a bit earlier, so the entry is a bit better. So at this point, we are not that close to entry. This one, though, is very close to entry, and we're pushing up pretty aggressively at the moment. We're about 50 pips away from actually getting to entry. Personally, at break even, or if it did break this resistance level on the 4-hour, I would definitely be getting out of this trade position. So pretty much what we're looking at here, guys, is again, where's the overall trend? Overall trend is to the downside on this one. We can even adjust this to be even more relevant looking at it like this. Overall, we've been trending to the downside on this one. So if this thing does break this resistance level right here, we'd be looking to get out of these cells and start to reverse how we're thinking about into buying opportunities, and then we'd have to bump up to the weekly time frame. And I don't believe I have a level marked to the upside, so I'd have to come back, and I like to draw these levels on the weekly time frame. I have to come back here, kind of zoom out, get an overall picture of the market. Where is another potential resistance level? And I don't like to overcomplicate this. I just look, what is a level that makes sense to me? You can clearly see that price previously when it was in this area. Huge rejection to the downside, support to the upside, huge move here, rejection here, not still. So this is another liquidity zone, obviously, that when price comes into, there's going to be a ton of orders sitting in that area. So look at, that's a huge swing. I mean, obviously, huge swing to the upside, literally 1,000 pips, that move. Am I saying that we should swing trade all the way up into that level? Not necessarily, but considering this is the next significant zone, if GJ does continue to appreciate, that could be a level that it comes into. And look at the last push to the upside. It was a 9% push, 1,000. So, I mean, 6%. Again, goes along with this just trending to the upside. I mean, this was another huge swing, 12%. So although that looks far away, it could definitely swing up into that area. So if we did take a buy here, that is truly the swing trade we'd want to make. We'd want to hold this thing until it did fully achieve the overall move. So coming back to the 4 hour, just to reiterate, we are either looking for it to reject and continue to the downside, and this would be great area to enter in. You know, if it does reject this area and we start to see some sort of bearish price action and engulfing any sort of reversal candlestick variation here, you know, large wicks to the upside, whatever, right here, we would definitely be trying to get in on sells. But if it does break this and hold above, then we'd want to flip. And then that's when we're trying to actually get in on swing trade to the upside. So that's pretty much X pairs that I'm going to go over, guys. I'm going to hop into NAS 100. I've been kind of looking at this one for the last couple months, and overall I've had some pretty good success with NAS 100. These things are a little crazier than FXs, and they move a lot more. Last week, as you can see here, we didn't have a trade idea on the call. Pretty much we were down here last week. This is when we were on the call in this area. I was pretty much saying that unless price came up into this resistance zone 119, and then we started to get some sort of consolidation and then a breakout, then I would want to take a sell. As you can see, we did not get any sort of consolidation around this area. This thing just continued to appreciate to the upside and then broke the resistance, and we actually confirmed this and held as support right here. So at this point, we got to kind of zoom out on NAS 100, go up to the weekly time frame. What's going on this time frame, right? Like, where are we currently at? And looking at how price action just formed last week, you know, ultimately we are in a downtrend on NAS 100 for sure. But we just actually formed an engulfing above the support level. So we basically rejected this area and then we followed it up with an engulfing. And then at this point, where's the next significant resistance level is all the way up here. I'm not saying I'm necessarily a big fan of buying right here. You know, when I come down to the 4 hour and kind of look at this price action broken down a little bit more, I would maybe want to see a new high break. So we actually break out of this. We're in like a demand zone or a supply zone up here. I really would want to see this supply break right here. And we can just make this a different color. So I'd really want to see this level confirm broken, and then we'd just take a buy here, and then we'd be targeting this resistance level because pretty much nothing is stopping it from moving up into that zone. Now, if price starts to form variations up here, so we start to, like similar to this, we had an engulfing followed up by rejection, like these wicks, doji candle or spinning top candle, stuff like that, then we would probably want to take sells on this one. And then pretty much the move would be to sell there, target here first, target down here next. So just to be clear, if this forms an evening star, right? If it forms an evening star here and starts to show a lot of bearish price action, this is actually a very high probability trade to take. We're in the demand zone, you know, overall in a bearish trend. You know, multiple confirmations there. Now, if this fails, right? It doesn't form an evening star, starts to break the resistance. That's when we're going to look to flip our bias here and try to take a buy and then hold this thing to the upside. So NAS 100 have to wait until this candle is actually about to close in like 2 minutes. So this would realistically be the trade. If you guys were to get in NAS 100, you'd be putting this here, your stops there. You'd be putting your first target would be down here, and then your next target would be all the way down at the 1100 level. And this is just a true swing trade to the downside. 5-to-1 risk reward if it does ultimately come all the way down here. And it's nice because if this does hit stop loss, we're simply flipping our bias, getting it on a buy. And then if this thing hits, we lose 1%, we make 2.7%. It's kind of the name of the game, when it comes to trading. So that's NAS 100. Last pair that I'm going to go over. And for you guys that have been following, the BTC strategy, looks like last week we had some movement here to the upside. So we had a bit of a recovery on BTC. Overall, BTC has just been super bearish, and there's nothing at this point telling us that it's ready to reverse quite yet. For those people that have been on here, they pretty much know like the McDonald's strategy. So I'm pretty much just dollar cost averaging BTC, all the way down into the 3,000 level. I do think it's a possibility that BTC comes down into the 3,000 area. Now, if that doesn't happen, great. It's not the end of the world. It's even better if it doesn't. But I always just want to be prepared for the absolute worst case scenario here. So BTC comes down into the zone. We're going to grab some more liquidity here. We're going to dollar cost average into that area. So yeah, pretty much you guys will see, how the strategy plays out. Right now, we're obviously in the 20,000 level. Looking at how price action's forming, we are starting to form like some sort of bottom here. Last week, obviously, you could see this candlestick closed into some sort of inverted hammer or whatever you want to call it, right? So we are finding some support at this level. But again, wouldn't be super confident on BTC, reversing until we see something similar to this, like a 10% candle close to the upside. This like a 16% candle close. We had this 10%. Right here, we had a 12%. I mean, even up here, we had that as well, 12%. And then we ended up pushing a little bit, and then this thing just died to the downside. So if you guys are, in BTC or looking to get in BTC, these are the levels to get in at: 20, 12, 3. Don't overcomplicate it. Just zoom out, look at the previous highs, look at the previous resistance levels. Those are the levels to get in at. And remember, when it was at a high point, you guys were probably thinking like, oh, I wish I bought at a low. Well, it's low. It's coming down. It's obviously, everyone knows, down a shit ton from the actual top. So yeah, look to potentially get in on BTC. Join me with the Mickey D's strategy.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see who can make some money.
This is it. This is it live. Really though.
Yeah, I mean, we made it through the last, crypto crash and everything. It took significant amount of time to recover.
Yep.
I was mainly with Tron, so we're here for the long haul with crypto. I think crypto is like extremely risky. It's really, at this point, it's like the fucking lottery at the end of the day.
It's still so new, it's far from like stable. It's still susceptible to these large swings, even though we're hitting these, numbers, but it is still, what would be considered a new market. But yeah, until then, we get years of this kind of stuff. I mean, think about it. This chart right now is only showing back to, 2020. This has really been on the map since 2017, and we've already seen this, a few times. Just the numbers are different.
Yeah, so trade responsibly, guys. The numbers are definitely different. The game has definitely elevated when it comes to BTC. The stakes are way higher.
That's true.
The stakes are way higher, but yeah, we're in it for the long haul. So join us if you guys want to. We'll see how this plays out. And again, giveaway, if you guys want to get involved, just take a picture of your chart, post us on your IG story, tag us, Funded Trader, Forex League. I'll go on afterwards and look and see who reposted, and then one person will win a 10K challenge, free 10K challenge, and yeah, we'll see who can pass. We'll see if the person who wins can actually get an account.
Yeah. Good luck, guys. So yeah, I mean, some people are still asking what giveaway.
Yeah, if you came in late, we're doing a giveaway. Just post this on the story, and yeah, we got you, Floki. So this is a big week. This is a big week ahead of us, guys. Getting into the heart of the summer here. Start of Q3. We're 10 days into Q3, so time to lock in, guys. Take advantage of some opportunities in the market, and we'll be back next week. We'll see how some of Nick's analysis, my analysis plays out, and if you guys take advantage of it all, come back next week and let us know.
Yeah, it's looking good, guys. So happy trading. We'll see you guys.
Week, everybody.